trouble tonight.
And for the Blue Demons, Yorane missed a lot of time. He was out 9 games with a foot injury, one of many Blue Demons that's been injured this year. But Ane is back, played a little bit against Creighton, and back in the lineup tonight against the Hoyas.
And that's big because it allows guys to move back to their regular positions. Jamin Johnson gets to go back on the wing and not play as much power forward. And Errol Penn moves back to the power forward spot, not being overmatched at a center position.
Those starting lineups presented by Jeep. There's only one. And only one team can win this game tonight. We promise somebody will win. DePaul and Georgetown underway at Wintrust Arena tonight. Should be a very interesting game between these two teams, if not for any other reason, but the desperation factor involved for both of these teams. Underneath, DePaul gets the first bucket. It is the big man, Errol Penn, who has really subbed in for all of the injured bigs that DePaul has had.
And you see the effect of Yorane being back in the lineup. Errol Penn has a bit of an advantage at the power forward spot, but he's been playing center with Ane out of the lineup.
Knocked away by Mo Gibson, the Big East leader in steals, and he was able to tip that one toward the Blue Demons.
I love Mo Gibson, just veteran player, savvy on both ends of the court.
Got an offensive rebound, sets up Jamin Johnson, the best three-point shooter in the conference, one of the best in the nation, and Jamin Johnson hits from 3.
Talking to Jalen earlier, Wayne, about what's allowed him to find such a zone here lately. And he just said, simply being here for 2 years under coach's system, he's a lot more comfortable.
Wahab travels for Georgetown. Qudus Wahab back with the Hoyas. And he turns it over to DePaul. Laval, the keys to the game.
Yeah, tonight for Georgetown, it is defending the three-point line. When DePaul's really good, they make 9+ threes a game. And they'd have to get on the glass and dominate in that aspect. And then for DePaul, containing these guards, this trio of guards from Georgetown is going to be a big factor. And sharing the basketball. Their last win, 17 assists against UTEP, but they haven't done that in the last 3 games.
It's Yorane missing the 3 there. The big man will take some shots. That's his 4th three-point attempt this year, but he's not made one yet. Wahab, Patrick Ewing-esque as he goes to the hoop, but Ewing would finish that one.
And the name will be one to watch, Wayne, because he's still, although he's back on restricted minutes with coming back off the foot injury.
Johnson got stuffed by 2 Hoyas as he went for the dunk. And now Georgetown back at it on the offensive end, trying to score for the first time in this one. There's a 3, it comes from Brandon Murray, and the Hoyas are on the board.
And that is what Brandon Murray brings to the table. He can score it at all 3 levels. Really impressed with his ability to create for others, putting up 4 assists a game so far this season.
Ane against Wahab. Jalen Terry as he cuts to the basket with the layup.
Good for the Blue Demons to have Jalen Terry back in the lineup. He was out, missed a couple games with a bruised knee, but came back and was their leading scorer in that Creighton game, although they lost on Christmas Day.
Murray feeds Wahab, and there was a foul. DePaul took on the Creighton Blue Jays in Omaha on Christmas Day and came up short.
And you see Qudus Wahab here and a Cook. Both guys challenged at the rim. This Georgetown defense is looking to improve. When I talked to Coach Ewing about where they can make a jump, how they can turn the corner here, he talked a lot about their defensive ability. They've got the pieces. It's just putting it together.
And he talked a lot about their ability overall and how close they are. They've been close. They really gave UConn a little bit of a scare in their last game, did Georgetown. The Hoyas had a lead in the second half against the number 2 team in the country. They've had trouble closing out games, and really they've had trouble finding pieces off their bench that work.
In these last few practices, the Brandon Murray earlier at the shoot-around, when I talked to him, talked about them practicing, as you see big Qudus Wahab there inside. Brandon talked about them practicing 6-minute games to put the emphasis on finishing and being able to close out some of these games that they've been right there in.
Jamin Johnson steps around the defense, hits his second 3. 45% from three-point range. Johnson has 2 already tonight.
I'll tell you what, as good as he's playing, talking to Javen earlier, he just wants to win. That's a double dribble. Yep, good call.
Primo Spears called for that double dribble. Third turnover already for Georgetown, none from the Blue Demons.
And you see early in this game, like 2 3-point makes from Javen Johnson already. A big key that Coach Ewing talked about, getting out to defend the three-point line, especially tonight with this DePaul team with Emoji Gibson, Javen Johnson, Jalen Terry out there.
You touched on it earlier. When DePaul makes their threes, they win, shooting 45% from three in their victories, only 27% in their losses. And there's 2 points off the back from Iran Penn. He's got 4.
And now you see Urane on the bench early. He started the game, but going back with the smaller lineup, Penn and Deshaun Nelson together.
Jalen Terry forces a turnover. Spears thought it would be Georgetown ball, but it's been all DePaul here early on.
And Javen Johnson's been on fire recently as he comes up there. Nice dribble pickup 3 to put the Blue Demons up early.
Welcome back. Big East basketball is sponsored by Jeep. There's only one, and we are at Wintrust Arena tonight in Chicago. DePaul with a good start, something that's been elusive for them lately. They've got a 12-5 lead on Georgetown, and it's because they are taking Georgetown turnovers, turning them into points, and they're getting some help as far as the rest of the team contributing. Because on 5 field goals, they have 5 assists.
And that's been a big emphasis for Coach Stubblefield. Talking to him earlier today at their shoot-around and walkthrough, they've only been averaging 9 assists a game in the last 3 that they've lost. When they're really good, he's looking for 15-plus assists, and they're off to a good start tonight with 5.
Early game deficits have been a big thing for the Blue Demons lately. In 9 of their last 10 games, they've been down by double-digit points in the first half. So point of emphasis to start the games better from Tony Stubblefield's crew. Deshaun Nelson misses there. Wahab fights for the rebound and gets it for Georgetown.
Georgetown did a nice job defending that set there. They were trying to go to Javen Johnson for another look.
Jumper from Brandon Murray had a contested shot thanks to Gebrowit. And a miss again for Georgetown.
I like the pace and the shot selection of DePaul tonight.
Long 3 misses from Gibson, and Wahab grabs another rebound.
And this kid here, Primo Spears, one to watch, second leading scorer in the Big East. Can create, really good in the mid-range.
That's a Cook missing the 3. A rebound for the Blue Demons, up ahead to Deshaun Nelson. What do you like about DePaul's shot selection so far?
Well, talking to their staff, it's about it leads to their defense when they're connected. Good shots lead to a set transition defense. And so the shots that they're taking here early allows their defense to be back and be set. And that's why they have the lead that they have right now. Good shots leads to floor balance.
They're 3 for 5 from 3. That's always a good sign for DePaul. And they're the ones with the early double-digit lead instead of being behind at this point in the game, as we've seen a lot lately. Jumper on the way from Primo Spears. That's his first bucket, and really a guy that has turned into Georgetown's best player.
And that's what he can do. He really is creative off the bounce, can really thrive in that mid-range area, step backs and pull-ups. Not shooting it great from 3, but has the ability to finish at the rim and really find his own shots. Shot selection is a big key for him for this Georgetown team to be really good and at their best.
DePaul coach Tony Stubblefield was just issued a warning for stepping too far out of his zone. Don't you hate that?
Hey, Stubbs is out of his zone. You should go at their practice. The team is transitioning up and down the court. Coach Stubblefield is right there with him, sprinting up and down the court as they're practicing. I love it. His energy runs for days. So I'm not surprised he's out of the box.
How much did you pay attention to that? Were you cognizant of that when you coached?
I'm glad they extended the line. It used to be closer to the bench. Now coaches can get a little closer to half court, especially in the first half when you're trying to communicate to your team up the floor.
I think Stubblefield would prefer if it was right about where Patrick Ewing is.
Georgetown shifting now to a bit of a zone here, trying to contain.
Missed jumper from Gebrowit. Rebound Jay Heath.
Good to see him back and getting comfortable.
The former Sun Devil Jay Heath. He gets the bucket there. Played at Boston College as well.
And he is a flat-out scorer everywhere he's been. Boston College, Arizona State, now at Georgetown.
Three again, Javen Johnson. He's made three. Johnson to start the game. 3 for 3 from three-point range.
Just a miscommunication up top there, Wayne. You cannot lose Javen Johnson if you're going to be in that zone. That's the one guy you have to locate.
That puts him at 1,000 career points. Jay Heath already well past that number. Makes a three there. He's looking at 1,300 as his next milestone.
There he is again. He's a career 38% three-point shooter, but he is what the kids call a bucket, just a professional scorer. It's about Georgetown's defense. They have to have the ability to defend. They can score with anybody in the Big East Conference.
And a fall-away shot there from Nelson misses. Georgetown allowing about 77 points per game. Gibson the steal. Gibson with the layup.
He has such a knack for the basketball, being able to poke it away, anticipate passing lanes, just good timing with his hands with Mozone Gibson. There he is again.
Gibson all over the place. They get it down to Heath inside, and Georgetown, after a broken play inside, ends up with a bucket. But Mo Gibson got his 200th career steal on Christmas Day against Creighton. He has the 4th most among all active Division I players. This is Nelson trying to work his way to the basket. Left it short, and the rebound for Ezewuro. Open three. Brandon Murray connects. Georgetown's made 5 in a row. And the Hoyas on a good run to try to get closer. They're down by just 4.
Tremendous decision there by Primo Spears. Keeping 2 feet on the floor for the kick out to Brandon Murray.
Hoyas getting hot offensively. Deshaun Nelson sends one through for the Blue Demons.
And there you see the value of having Jalen Terry back in the lineup. Gives Mozone Gibson a chance to play off the ball and someone else that can create for others.
Gibson with his hands on that one. And if you're on the offensive side, Mo Gibson is looking for the ball.
Jalen Terry in the high middle pick and roll. They're glued to Mozone Gibson. A great decision to drop it for Deshaun with the thrust finish.
Both teams making buckets early. DePaul's got a 6-point lead. Right now we'll take you inside the huddle with Hall of Famer Patrick Ewing.
Set a double drag. Roll, stop stopping. By you rolling, there's no set the defense in or you're going to be open. Call ID on our pick and roll. You're calling, whatever you call down. Now stay down, don't come up. By you coming up, you're giving them the ball. But then the weak side, you still got to be in. Weak side, you still got to be in. Whoever's on the weak side, y'all still got to be in. And we're not hugging our guys up.
You hear Coach Ewing there, Wayne, talking about their weak side defense, sucking in and plugging the paint and being able to get back to the shooters. Right now, you look at DePaul, 8 assists on 9 made field goals, and Georgetown not doing a good job of disrupting them defensively. Coach Ewing addressing that with his team.
Well, they could use a win. 22 consecutive Big East losses dating back to when they surprisingly won the Big East tournament in 2021. They lost every conference game last year, including in the conference tournament. They're 0 for 2 to start this year. The longest Big East losing streak ever belongs to DePaul. They lost 24 in a row 2 different times, and there's a 3 from Wayne Bristol Jr. off the bench. We talked about the Hoyas bench needing to get going. Well, there's Bristol with a big bucket right off of it.
And that's a good sign for Coach and the Georgetown fans coming out of the timeout.
Gibson gets it right back for the Blue Demons. This is going to be like this all night, I think.
Yeah, right now both teams shooting high percentage from the field. You just can't go under any screens on the Mozone Gibson. A total mental lapse there by Primo Spears.
Both of these teams have allowed opponents to make a lot of baskets. And it looks like they will do so against each other. There's a miss from Heath. Xavier shot 60% in a recent game against Georgetown. Yorene waits for the defense to move and draws a foul from Ezewuro.
Paul's going small here. This lineup. You see Urine has a size advantage now in terms of length at the rim. Good job of using the shot fake there against Bradley as a warrior.
This is the first free throw attempt of the night so far. It's been a lot of just open space on the floor. It's almost like an NBA style game, the way that we've seen these teams open up the floor here early on.
Very true, and Coach Ewing's played like that, having coached against both of these guys. You know, it's very spread out, high pick and roll. You heard him talking to Kudus Wahab about rolling and finishing his role on offense to be able to suck in defensive attention. And for DePaul, Coach Stubblefield spent a good amount of years out with Dana Altman at Oregon, and so their spread offensive movement, they're always good at. They're sitting there, a little press.
Another steal leads to more free throws. Gebrewit will go to the line. Went down hard after that Georgetown foul, but DePaul's defense has been able to pick some pockets here early on.
Yeah, they picked up full court pressure. Georgetown struggled with this at Connecticut. They had the lead, they had a 7-point lead there in the second half. Connecticut started to press them full court, changed the game. So you see DePaul taking a page out of the UConn book here early.
Now Gebrewit at the line, a senior. Makes the first free throw. Gebrewit did play a couple of years at South Plains College. All these teams have really changed rosters over almost entirely in Georgetown's case, dating back to last year. It's almost rare to see somebody back in a uniform for the second year in a row.
It's the good and the bad of college basketball today.
Murray loses it. Jalen Terry goes to get it. Terry to the basket, draws the foul.
These two guards here earlier at the shoot around, Coach Stubblefield stopped everything and caught everyone's attention, talked to his guards, Jalen Terry and Umoja Gibson in particular, and said they have to feel you. We have a pickup point up top, and you see there Jalen Terry. You always love, Wayne, when your team comes out and you can tell the message is getting through. They're passing the basketball, moving the ball, getting assists on made field goals. The guard's pickup point has changed, the pressure defensively, all the things that Coach Stubbs emphasized. When you have those practices coming out of Christmas break, you get to see your flaws and get to see where you got exposed and try to make those corrections.
Saturday on Fox, it's a New Year's Eve college hoops doubleheader. On Fox, as second-ranked UConn battles Xavier. Then it's fifth-ranked Arizona taking on their rivals from Arizona State. It all tips off Saturday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern on Fox. DePaul and Georgetown here tonight at Wintrust Arena. DePaul swept the season series against Georgetown last year. Everybody did. The Hoyas did not win a conference game. DePaul has never won 3 straight games against Georgetown, so they're trying to do that for the first time ever with a victory here tonight, as the Blue Demons have gotten off to a very good start offensively, shooting 56%. They are 5 of 7 from 3. And here's Jalen Terry at the free throw line, an 88% free throw shooter. DePaul's actually 9th in the country in free throw shooting.
Yep, and getting to the foul line a lot. Umoja Gibson, one of the guys on their roster, does a good job getting to the foul line. When they're playing in transition and in attack mode with that aggressive mindset, it's a DePaul team that can really challenge to win more than the 6 games that they won last year in the Big East Conference this season.
A really stark disparity in turnovers right now. Georgetown 7, DePaul none. Long 2. Bounces off the back of the rim from Primo Spears. Offensive rebound. Georgetown turned it over, though. It's Gebrewit going to the basket. Gebrewit couldn't get it to lay down. And Murray flies in for the rebound for Georgetown.
Nice job of getting back in transition there by the Georgetown Hoyas.
Baseline drive and a layup for Bryson Mozone.
It's good for Coach Ewing and his staff. He talked about trying to find 1 or 2 more guys off the bench. He's been playing his starters heavy minutes, and he'd like to find some relief. And he's talked about that being a factor with their defensive lapses.
Terry missed a contested 3. Spears averages 38 minutes a game. That's the highest in the Big East and the second most in the country. He's one guy that gets taxed a lot. Murray plays a lot of minutes, 35 a game. Here's Wahab trying to shimmy to the basket, and the left hand falls for the returning Wahab. Second stint at Georgetown. These guys are transferring so much, they're making multiple stops in one place.
And nice job on the pivot step-through move by big Kudus Wahab there.
Geberwood off the catch from Yorene's pass. Misses the three short. And it's the big man, Wahab, up for the rebound. Spears looking to push his way through. He's fouled.
And here's something to pay attention to, Wayne. You look at Brandon Murray right now. He's taxed. And there's 8 minutes to go in this first half. He gives effort and energy on the defensive end, but you also need him in his ability on the offensive end. And that's why guys like Wayne Bristol Jr. coming in and contributing, Bryson Mozone coming in to be able to relieve him a little bit so that he can give that same effort and be the two-way player that Coach Ewing's challenging him to be. But he's huffing right now.
Notably, it was Spears who came off the floor just now. Murray stays in. Murray with pass to Mozone, who misses. Wahab fights for the rebound. It lands in the hands of Umoja Gibson. Gibson up ahead to Zion Cruz. An interesting freshman for DePaul.
Wahab did a good job versus Adama Sanogo in that Connecticut game, guarding the post.
Shot clock down to 5 as Gibson feeds Nelson on his way to the basket. Nelson kind of lost his momentum and loses the ball out of bounds.
Nice job there. I tell you, Brandon Murray is getting after it defensively on the ball. Impressed. Coach Ewing talked about earlier today, he is the leader of their team. He's the alpha. He's the one that the players listen to and follow.
He was all freshman SEC last year at LSU. Here's a 15-footer, and that rolls through for the impressive sophomore Brandon Murray.
I love how he's competing right now. In terms of if you have a leader on your team that you recognize as a coach, you want him competing like Brandon Murray is competing at this moment.
6-0 run for Georgetown. Gibson gets 3 for the Blue Demons. That is their 6th triple of this first half.
And Kudus Wahab has to be up to touch on that screen there. Drop too low. They're in a drop coverage, but he's too low for a great shooter like Umoja Gibson coming off of there.
That's 11 points for Gibson, plus causing a ruckus on the defensive side. And there's really an unforced error by Georgetown as he throws it away. 9 turnovers from the Hoyas. It's kept DePaul afloat. The Blue Demons are up by 6. Six-point lead for the Blue Demons, and really it's been pivotal that the defense has helped out DePaul as much as it has early on.
Yeah, both of these teams, Wayne, challenging themselves to get better defensively, and really the difference in the ballgame right now is DePaul's defensive effort. They have 9 points off Georgetown's 9 turnovers, and that's pretty much the difference that we see right now in the score. But their activity level defensively is something that Coach Stubblefield has to be proud of at the moment.
You see the points off turnovers. You see the turnover disparity. It's 9-0 in turnovers. However, DePaul's lead is only 6. It's not as if they've run away in this game, despite the fact that the turnovers are 9-0.
Well, here's the thing. Georgetown's shooting 61%. So it's all or nothing right now for DePaul. When they don't turn them over, they're giving up good looks and baskets. So they've got to get to the point, and they have to get to the point where they can stop them and without having to steal the basketball.
Well, if you're Georgetown, if you're Patrick Ewing, is it at least encouraging that you're not way behind considering that?
Yeah, for Coach Ewing, it's all about challenging his guys to take care of the basketball. That's the first start of your defense. If you don't you can't guard turnovers.
Good job by the Hoyas there to get the ball after Errol Penn tried to save it. Murray goes strong to the hoop. Brandon Murray with a great night so far. He's got 8.
Primo Spears is making good decisions. This Georgetown team, offensively, they are talented. It's all about their shot selection and decision making.
Nelson takes that one to the basket. Can't get it. Wahab rebounds and then falls on top of Nelson. And a foul will be called on Nelson. It was Spears who connected with Murray on that last bucket for Georgetown. Spears has 7 assists early on. And it should be noted that Spears and Murray are best friends. They were best friends before they got here to Georgetown together, both as transfers this year. They actually had a mutual close friend that passed away, and they became very good friends after that. So there's a real connection there between Primo Spears and Brandon Murray, as we just saw Mozone hit the 3.
Yeah, and I talked to Brandon about that relationship, just how that's manifested itself on the court. And he said, that's my guy. You know, we've been through a lot together off the court, losing a friend together. And so we can tell each other the truth. And that matters, Wayne.
Jumper good for Javen Johnson. Johnson with 3 threes early on. He's got 11 points so far tonight.
And DePaul really has to tighten up here defensively. Again, Georgetown shooting 60% from the floor.
Wahab got tied up and fouled.
65%. So both of these teams, like I said in the open way, looking in the mirror really. They have talent on the offensive end of the court. You look at DePaul and Javen Johnson and Mozone Gibson, Errol Penn, and Georgetown's got the guards and Big Kudus Wahab in there. Scoring is not the issue. The offensive talent and ability is not the issue. It is, can they lock in defensively and sustain the effort and the level that they need to get wins here as the Big East season moves along.
Georgetown looking at another turnover, but Heath saves it for the Hoyas. Murray spins his way through. Murray kisses it off the glass. Beautiful move by Brandon Murray. He's got a dozen.
I tell you what, he is here to compete today. You love seeing that. Again, Coach Ewing saying he's a leader. You love seeing him set the tone as a competitor.
Long three from the top. Javen Johnson. What a start for Johnson. His 4th three.
Right
fun
now,
to watch
Wayne,
at least,
they're
right?
on pace to hit the 90s right now, Wayne.
Let's see it.
Gonna change the script for Big East basketball.
Floater falls through. Brandon Murray again.
And that's a competitive basket. Brandon Murray knew he went under on the screen on Javen Johnson. Shouldn't have done it. And Coach Ewing was yelling at him down the floor. And right then, he's making that one, saying, I got you, Coach. Won't do it again.
Gibson playing low with Primo Spears. Draws contact as Spears gets called for his 2nd foul.
Nice. Good use of the shot fake there. Mozone Gibson, he just plays like a veteran. He's got a pace. For this DePaul club, I call him, he's the adult in the room for this ball club. When it gets hectic, and it's moving a bit too fast and kind of crazy, he's the guy that can settle everybody down, make sure everybody sits up straight, and follows the instructions.
He came from Oklahoma. When you get somebody from a big-time program, how much emphasis do you put on that as a player coming from a smaller school or a junior college?
Well, and he's playing a position now. He wasn't a point guard for Oklahoma. So it's impressive for him to take command of this ball club and be able to run the team like he does. You're looking at production, though. When you look at Mozone Gibson, he's a career 38% three-point shooter. So you're knowing that's going to translate, and he's done it at the Big 12 level. But he's a leader. When you talk to, I always ask the coaches, who's your leaders? And Coach Stubblefield said right away, Errol Penn and Mozone Gibson. Those are the guys that get guys up in the morning for shots, to get guys in the gym, make sure everybody's on time to get to the weight room. Those are the 2 guys that I lean on to lead this group.
And veteran guys, really, look at DePaul. Their starters' average age is 23 years old. They're an older group anyway at this level. They've got the oldest starting group of any of the Power 5 schools as Gebrowit makes that 2nd free throw. That has to mean something in terms of experience.
True. And I think for both of these ball clubs moving forward, the experience that they're getting together, I know they didn't have the non-conference seasons that they'd like to have, but they've gotten experience together, which they didn't have because they all have so many new faces.
Foul on Errol Penn. That's his 2nd. Penn had a good Christmas at Creighton with a double-double, 12 points and 12 rebounds in Omaha. Now Penn comes off as Nelson returns for the Blue Demons.
Watch Errol Penn there fighting through the dig screen. Just runs through the screener. A bit of a good acting job there at the same time.
Brandon Murray has been unstoppable here in the first half. Murray has 16 points. He has scored 10 of the last 13 for Georgetown. Javen Johnson floats one from the baseline. Mozone reaches out to grab the rebound, and now Georgetown can take the lead despite the difference in turnovers. Brandon Murray missing that 2 off the side as he's carried the Hoyas over the last 5 minutes, but could not carry them to the lead there.
A little too much there by Brandon. I know he's playing really well. Got excited there. And Brandon Murray, who's started this game on fire. You see good use of the screen there, getting separation, high release, knocking it down, bringing the Hoyas within one.
Well, despite a huge difference in turnovers so far in this game, it's only a 1-point lead for DePaul. Brandon Murray has really strapped the Hoyas on his back.
And he was the guy that everyone in D.C. was excited about, the all-SEC transfer. You see him doing it at all three levels. Catch and shoot off the three, attacking the basket in transition, playing off of others, with Primo Spears making a good decision there. Brandon Murray off to a hot start, 16 points already in this first half, and we still have 3 minutes left to play, partner.
Well, he's had 10 in the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds. As Brandon Murray has really helped cut into this DePaul lead. The Blue Demons, again, they've been ahead, but they haven't been way ahead despite the turnovers. 9 of them from Georgetown, still 0 for DePaul. Now 16 minutes and a half into this game. The Blue Demons have held the ball 29 times. They have not turned it over once.
Yeah, and you know, I think the contrast for the two teams, when you have guys on the DePaul side, both teams, you have guys that can create for themselves. Emoji Gibson, Javen Johnson. Well, now the trust that has to build amongst teammates to move the ball and trust that it's going to come back to you. Same as Georgetown. Primo Spears, Brandon Murray, those guys can create for themselves. But shot selection being a big thing. When you can go get a basket, you have to know when and make those decisions purposeful at the right time.
It's funny to watch Umoja Gibson, who makes 2 more free throws, 91% free throw shooter, the great defense that he plays. He's such a winning type player. It's hard to believe DePaul has a record that is only 6-7 to this point with a guy like that on their roster. Nasty collision there, but everybody gets up quickly as Mozone went down hard.
And again, DePaul with the full court pressure here, trying to extend the defense, and Jalen Terry just a little bit too overzealous going after the steal. Couldn't stop his momentum.
Yorane back in for DePaul. Jalen Terry comes off.
But it's no accident, Wayne. You see Umoja Gibson production go up with Jalen Terry back in the lineup. He only had 3 points at St. John's and Duquesne. Emoji, he's a guy that they need consistently every night.
Good take by Mozone. Mozone has played here and there off the bench. He's been one of the more used bench pieces for Patrick Ewing, 4-year player at USC Upstate. That ball goes out of bounds off DePaul, so it will be Georgetown ball. A chance once again for their first lead. That's the first turnover from the Blue Demons.
Nice hands there on the backside from Brandon Murray. His activity level is impressive tonight. He's all over the place, both ends of the floor. Good job handling the full court pressure there. See Murray now playing point guard with Primo Spears out of the ball game.
Shot clock inside of 10. Denver Anglin, the freshman. Kick out to Murray. Toe on the line, in and out it goes. And Yorane gets the rebound for DePaul.
Coach Ewing throwing Denver Anglin, the young freshman. Big time shooter, highly touted. You see him picking up a foul there, playing defense. But Patrick, I'm watching him. He's looking for someone else he can trust off the bench. You see Denver Anglin getting an opportunity there. Zone playing. Here comes Bradley Ezeworu back in the game. They have to, for their defense to improve. I think his fatigue's a big factor. Brandon Murray plays really hard. Primo Spears plays very hard. And those guys playing the amount of minutes that they do, it affects you when guys are trying to find their spots. You don't want that as a coach.
That's why we've seen those late game slides, the inability to finish off games in which Georgetown is in it. Denver Anglin, a highly touted player, a capable offensive player, scored over 1,200 career points in high school. Needs to work on his defense, and that's where Patrick Ewing's hesitancy comes to using a guy like Denver Anglin.
He's a freshman on the defensive end of the court, but you have to throw him out there and give him an opportunity. I think that was a turnover by Murray. Oh my goodness.
Blocked by Murray on the dunk attempt by Nelson. Now a missed shot as Nelson couldn't finish either of those, and Anglin gets the rebound. What a block by Brandon Murray on that dunk attempt by Deshaun Nelson.
That woke everybody in the building up. And Murray here with an ill-advised pass, but the hustle back and the athleticism to go meet Deshaun Nelson at the rim. My goodness. Competitive this kid is. He makes a mistake, and I love the response. He didn't dwell on it. He got back and made the next play, and that was a heck of a play.
It's got to make old 33 on the sideline pretty proud. Patrick Ewing did that to a lot of players over the years. It was an impressive play by Murray. Now he almost lost the ball, and he does lose it. Yorane knocked it out of his hands, out of bounds off of Murray. The 11th turnover for Georgetown in this first half. They averaged 12 a game.
And this is where if you want Denver Anglin to take advantage of these minutes so that he can play backup point guard. Primo Spears out of the game right now. Brandon Murray trying to play point guard. And you need Denver Anglin maybe to take on that role if he can step up.
Javen Johnson steps away, hits another three. That is 5 threes for Javen Johnson here in the first half. Heath along 2. Left it way short. It goes out of bounds. 32 points from DePaul out of just Gibson and Johnson combined. Javen Johnson has 17.
We talked about it. The three-point line being a factor. DePaul with 8 threes now. And Coach Ewing emphasizing we have to get them off the three-point line, knowing Javen Johnson 5 for 5. Umoja Gibson 3 for 4. See Zion Cruz is limping.
Cruz limps off, and Deshaun Nelson returns for DePaul. The last thing the Blue Demons need is to see another player limping, because they've had so many injury problems here in the early going. I mean, Caleb Murphy was supposed to be a big part of this team. He hasn't played at all. Nick Ongenda was supposed to be a huge part, as he has been the last few years, and he hasn't played at all and may not after having wrist surgery.
Zone here by Georgetown. I think Coach Ewing just using this to give his guys a blow.
Johnson got open again. Somehow he missed, and they tried to tip it in, but he was too far away. Wahab got loose away from Ane.
Good
and was
feed
fouled
there
on the other end by Gibson.
And Brandon, when I talked to him about what did you focus on this summer, Brandon? You had a heck of a freshman year down there at LSU in the SEC. And he said, playing with the ball in my hands. I came off a lot of pin downs and stagger screens, but trying to grow at playing in the pick and roll and making better decisions. You see an example there with a good post feed into Qudus Wahab.
Big man at the line. Wahab 76% from the free throw line. A capable free throw shooter, but he missed that one. And Jalen Terry gets the rebound. Under a minute to go here in the first half. Terry steps away, got open, his three. A little bit too strong. Nelson the rebound, fighting for positioning. And a travel. Deshaun Nelson turns it over.
Beautiful job walling up there in the post from Qudus Wahab defensively. Georgetown's going to pass here. It could have gone 2 for 1. They're going to pass and try to get a good shot.
Murray finds Denver Anglin, the freshman, off the bounce. Could not get it to roll through. Deshaun Nelson with the rebound. Take away from Heath. Heath to the basket with the layup.
And that's just unfortunate. Deshaun Nelson has to hold that ball, let his guard come get it, so that they can get the last shot of the half without turning it over and giving up points.
Gibson tosses one way back from 3. Gibson was near the logo. One last chance. Brandon Murray could not get the shot off in time. That would not have counted. As DePaul gets one massive shot from Umoja Gibson going into halftime. 18 points from Gibson. His 4th 3 right here. He was on the horn.
My goodness, he's been watching Damian Lillard highlights from way downtown. Umoja Gibson getting some separation for the Blue Demons.
We'll be back with stats and analysis right after this. Welcome to the Jeep Halftime Show, sponsored by Jeep. There's only one. They wrap around the ribbing. He's here tonight, too. And he watched Brandon Murray have one heck of a first half for the Hoyas.
Yeah, and there's, you got to love some fireworks here on the perimeter. These guards and wings really getting after it offensively, being aggressive. Brandon Murray, 7 for 11 from the field. Javen Johnson and Mozone Gibson, if these two teams have talent offensively, and you're seeing it tonight, it's going to be about who can get stops on the defensive end of the floor and make that commitment.
We'll see how it shakes out in the second half. Again, both of these teams could really use a win. Both of these teams have fan bases that are already making some noise, and I think we'll start to make a lot more noise depending on who loses this one. Brandon Murray picks up where he left off in the first half. 19 points for Murray and a 3 to start the second half.
Brandon Murray had the heat pack on in the locker room at halftime. He did not cool off.
Yeah, he is the heat pack right now. This is Yorane working against Wahab, left it short. Wahab gets the rebound. He's had a whole bunch early on in this one as Wahab picks up his 8th rebound.
The guy that hasn't gotten going yet is this guy right here, Primo Spears. He's been distributing. He had 8 assists at halftime looking for teammates, but you know he's got 10, 12-point runs by himself in him.
Wahab running into Ane. They're going to call a foul. Ane thought he did enough to earn a takeaway there, but instead he will be called for his second foul.
It's a little too much there. Ooh. That's a tough one if you're Ane. That's a tough one if you're Ane. I thought he had his hand on the ball.
A little too much of a bad call, I think, is what we just saw.
You try to teach them to have their hands back. Any big forward movement with the arms, sometimes there's no contact, but the refs just see big movements and call fouls.
Wayne Bristol has just come in right away for Georgetown as Jay Heath goes to the bench. Also, we should note that a Cook we saw for about 6 minutes at the beginning of this game, and then he came out. We haven't seen him since. Mozone starting here in the second half over a Cook.
And you hope he's okay. You know, he's dynamic when he's healthy. He's had some injuries throughout his career with the Achilles, but when healthy, as dynamic a shot blocker and active player as there is in the Big East.
We'll see if a Cook returns. Gibson off the catch and shoot. Missed it short.
Didn't get it. Nice action there off the post up from Coach Stubblefield.
DePaul has led throughout this game, but Georgetown hasn't gone away. Spears trying to get loose, and Yorane knocks that one out of bounds, knocks Spears to the deck too. A lot of arms and legs when Yorane is coming your way.
See if Spears gets more aggressive here in this second half. But there is the impact of having Yorane back in the lineup. Even if it's for restricted minutes, those 20 minutes or whatever the number is that he can get in impacts the game at the rim for this DePaul team defensively and offensively.
Spears inbounds to Mozone.
Brandon Murray doing the heavy lifting tonight.
He's got 19. He went on a tear at the end of the first half. He's got 5 to start the second half. 21 points, and Brandon Murray is in full control for Georgetown.
He is feeling it. You can see his comfort level not disturbed at all right now, completely in the zone.
6-0 Hoyas to start the second half. Georgetown has shot 63% for the night. A lot of traffic. Javen Johnson makes it happen anyway.
These two are going at it. It's fun to watch when you get two big-time scoring wings like this going at it.
Johnson's had some help from Mozone Gibson. Murray's really done it alone for Georgetown tonight. His best bud, Primo Spears, has been very quiet. And yet here's Murray taking over. Had it knocked away by Ane. Jalen Terry's to the basket. Terry with the dunk. All of 6'0". Jalen Terry got all the way up.
And another turnover leading to a run out for DePaul. Georgetown has to take care of the basketball if they want a chance to be in this game at the end and close it out.
Terry hobbling now as Spears hits the jumper around the screen. And Terry is going to hobble right to the DePaul bench and have a seat in play as Jalen Terry seemed to twist his ankle up, and now he can't put much weight on it at all.
You hate to see that for a guy that just returned to the lineup and is having an impact tonight. Had 14 points in that game at Creighton to lead them in scoring.
It was a knee injury that kept him out for a couple of games. This seems more ankle related. So
he can find his way back in there. He's playing really well tonight.
Maybe just a shin, whatever. We'll see if he can make his way back. This ball ends up back in the hands of Primo Spears. Spears with the lead to Bristol, who gets hit hard from behind by Ane. Ane trying to block that dunk attempt from behind. And a lot of contact between Ane and Bristol, who's down.
Here's the injury.
Jalen Terry here trying to fight through the screen, and looked like contact there with Kudus Wahab there on the screen. I think you're right, Wayne, on the ankle. Looks like they're going to retape him to see if he can give it a try.
They're also going to review the contact on that last play as Bristol was fouled by Ane, and see what type of foul will be called here if anything changes from the initial call on the floor.
And Ane coming from behind here to try to block the shot.
Nothing changed. They reviewed it, and how it was called is how it will stay. Nothing flagrant there or any sort of extra free throws involved, as Bristol will get 2. You can see Ane hit mostly the ball.
It's a basketball play, right? Hard foul, but a basketball play. Anytime you get up in near the head and neck area, they always have to go check the monitor to see.
And that's what the officials just did. Officiating crew tonight. So Bristol at the line.
And he's another player, Wayne Bristol Jr. Dad played at Maryland for the Terps. Senior did. He was an all NEAC freshman at Howard, transferred in, sat out for a season with an injury, but he can score the ball. He has athleticism. Again, Coach Ewing looking to add some depth to the roster.
Ane off the dribble, wiggling his way inside at 6'11". 3 from the corner, open shot. Mozone couldn't get it to drop. And Gebrowit has the rebound tipped out his way. All leading by a single skinny point. Penn tossed it right to Mozone. He was looking for Ane. Georgetown has a chance for a lead. They have not had one all night. Primo Spears works up the jumper. It falls off the side of the rim, and every time Georgetown's had a chance to take the lead, they haven't converted. Underneath, Penn left that one too short. And Georgetown fights for the rebound, so another chance for the lead. Spears to Wahab, sends it out. Mozone fights his way through. That's short. Wahab the offensive rebound. He's fouled. Timeout on the floor. A hotly contested game in Chicago. It's a 1-point advantage for the Blue Demons. Georgetown with a chance to take their first lead. Coming up next. Big East basketball is sponsored by Jeep. There's only one. This is the only game left in 2022 for these two teams. The new year right around the corner. It'll be 2023 the next time these two teams take the floor. And DePaul hoping that Jalen Terry can take the floor again tonight.
Yeah, and he's had an impact on this game, defensively especially, being in passing lanes, picking up the pressure. He has the ability to finish. A good young player. He's in a good role this season if he can stay healthy. He's had some games that he's missed, but I'll never forget him dropping 28 points last year against Seton Hall here in his best performance as a DePaul Blue Demon in terms of scoring the basketball.
That was a career high for him. He's one of many Blue Demons that has missed some games with injury. Murphy and Ongenda, two big injuries for this DePaul team. Ane missing a lot of times. The fans around here don't want to hear it. They thought this year was going to be a better year for DePaul basketball. To this point, it hasn't been. They're under 500 right now, trying to win a conference game for the first time this year. On the other side, Georgetown's desperate for any sort of win against a Big East opponent. They've lost 22 in a row in conference play.
And it's hard, right, for the DePaul fans. You have to have all your horses at the race. They're missing potentially 2 starters.
Shot clock at 2, winding down the 3. Misses short. Offensive rebound, Wahab. Georgetown another chance. And a foul on the floor before Wahab made his move to the basket. But that offensive rebound certainly helps Georgetown with their effort to take the lead for the first time tonight. And that's the 4th foul on Eral Penn. So that's some serious foul trouble for Penn as he comes out. Jalen Terry does return.
And this is where it still affects you, your name being on restricted minutes. So Coach Stubblefield trying to time up when he's going to use him.
Brandon Murray gives Georgetown the lead. The first time tonight for the Hoyas, and of course it's Murray. He has 24 points, his 4th 3.
DePaul's going to have to make some adjustments. They paid a lot of attention to Spears. They brought a crowd to him. You see Terry turning it over there. And that's allowed Murray to have one-on-one situations. And he is taking full advantage of every chance he gets.
He's been unbelievable tonight. Here's Wahab against Nelson, and that's an offensive foul against Wahab. You have to think that now's an opportunity for Wahab with a Ney at 3 fouls plus the restricted minutes. With Eral Penn at 4 fouls, Wahab can really make some noise. Brandon Murray, 24 points. That's a career high for him. His previous high was 21 against Texas A&M when he was with LSU in January of last year.
And right now, DePaul has to get control of this game offensively and try to find something easy. Now, Georgetown's outscored him by 9 in this half. Just a little discombobulated offensively. Not the same rhythm they had in the first half.
Gebrowit saw an open lane, leaves it off for Nelson, challenging Wahab. Nelson tries to save it. It's out of bounds off of Georgetown. And the Blue Demons will hang on to it.
And that's the presence of Kudus Wahab. His sophomore year, Georgetown has had defensive issues last season and this season, and they're trying to get there. He was a big factor. They had a top 50 defense before he transferred to Maryland, and it was a lot of his rim protection that factored into that.
Jalen Terry's got a shot for 3. It's good for Terry. DePaul uses the 3 to their advantage again. They are 10 of 17 from 3-point range. It's Terry who puts the Blue Demons back on top.
And that's a big basket just for the rhythm of the DePaul team. Good decision by Jamin Johnson to kick it to Terry.
Well, the arrow was starting to come out of DePaul, and that got some of it back in. Wahab battling with Nelson in a foul call.
I think right now for Coach Ewing and the Hoyas, continue to throw the thing inside. You said it, Wayne. Wahab right now is the advantage. You got a small lineup for this DePaul unit. Give Brandon Murray a bit of a rest. I know he's hot, but dump that thing inside to big Kudus Wahab and let him go to work in the paint.
Spears leads Wahab toward the basket. Against a double team, Wahab couldn't get that one to drop. Mozone handles the rebound for the Hoyas. They keep it. This is Spears against Jamin Johnson. Long jumper way off. And Jalen Terry rebounds for DePaul. Quick on the other end. 3 on the way. Gebrowit has it fall off. Mozone rebounds.
Pace picking back up here for these guys that are playing heavy minutes. It'll be interesting to see if they can maintain their effort and energy.
Little screen from Wahab. 3 from Brandon Murray. 27. The career high night continues for the sophomore Brandon Murray.
Brandon Murray, he's maintained everything tonight. So impressive with his ability to do it off the bounce.
Gebrowit finagles his way to the basket, gets it back. Couldn't get that one to go. Rebound for Georgetown. Spears with his eyes ahead. This is Murray's night. He's got the ball again. Murray on his way to the basket, draws a crowd, and a whistle away from the ball.
Yep, in there, lose too long. Produce Wahab, 3-second violation.
So that's a turnover from Georgetown. Brandon Murray looks back to Ewing in the bench, and what's been just an incredible performance from Murray, the best of his career. He's got 27 to lead the way for the Hoyas.
And Brandon Murray has been that guy tonight. Watch him here. You cannot go under, cannot give him space. It is his night tonight. Brandon Murray rolling for the Hoyas.
Sunday, it's a New Year's Day edition of the NFL on Fox as the Eagles try to clinch a division title. They take on Alvin Kamara and the Saints, or the Jets battle the Seahawks, with both teams looking to keep their playoff hopes alive. Check local listings for the game in your area only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Week 17 in the NFL coming up. Postseason not too far away. These two teams tonight here at Wintrust Arena just hoping to win one conference game. Somebody's got to win. We promised you that at the Open. But as we sit here now with 12-18 to go, we have no idea who's going to win this game.
And I expected this, Wayne, just a competitive spirit. If you have any type of competitor in you and you realize the situation that, hey, somebody's going to be 0-3 and someone's going to be 1-2 coming out of here. Brandon Murray, you see the competitor in him tonight, Javen Johnson. So fully what I expected these two teams to go at it because there's momentum on the backside of this. Look, if you're at Georgetown, you got Butler, and you can build some momentum heading into these next couple games here.
Straight to the hoop. The layup goes through for Mo Gibson. His first points of the second half. And we are even with 12 minutes to play here at Wintrust Arena. In the paint, Murray fights to the basket and draws the foul. Murray will head to the free throw line. All tied up in Chicago. DePaul and Georgetown, each team looking for an important first win in conference play. Tie game here in Chicago. Both of these teams winless in the early portion of Big East play, but now conference play is in full swing. As we look ahead for the Blue Demons, they've got Providence here on New Year's Day at Butler. And trying to get win number one to build some momentum into January.
Yeah, it's important. That's why you can see the effort and the energy, the intensity, the urgency for both of these teams to try to build some momentum heading into their next 3-game set here. When you look at Georgetown, you can get this one tonight. You go to Butler, a winnable game there, and try to build with 2 in a row. And with a Villanova team that you're playing at home, that's not the typical Villanova team, although they're playing better. So both teams trying to start tonight with a boost to get some momentum going. And they're figuring some things out. You look at Georgetown right now, a group of guys that no one that's playing meaningful minutes was here last year. So it takes some time. I know the portal's a good thing to be able to put a roster together quickly, but those guys haven't had the practices, they haven't had the experiences, they haven't been through the battles, and they've got to do that in the non-conference. And now you see a bit more rhythm in that Connecticut game. They played well for about 36 minutes, and now tonight you can see, hey, they might be gelling moving forward here.
Loose ball after the miss by Zion Cruz. And a whistle. They're going to try to determine if that ball hit the rim. Didn't seem like it did, but maybe.
It's what looked like what they call a board ball, Wayne.
I would agree. We'll see it.
I don't think it hit the basket.
See it from this angle. Well, maybe. It kind of fell in behind there.
Closer than I thought.
Yeah. Still don't think so, but it was closer than how it originally looked. Sounded like it didn't hit the rim, for whatever that's worth. So because it did not hit the rim, they will reset the shot clock to 14. Wahab comes back in for Georgetown.
He did. Short clock here now. The ball's got to get right to it.
Jalen Terry trying to handle that. Shot clock at 5. Now 3. Yorine forced that up. That didn't hit the rim either. Shot clock would have run out, but Brandon Murray grabs it for Georgetown. Spears takes and then gives. Wahab too strong.
Nice
Jalen
job by
Terry
Ane.
tracks it down for DePaul. Deshaun Nelson steps into a foul. What'd you see from Ane?
Nice job by Ane there. It's just his impact. They're such a different team there. Just his size at the basket to be solid and wall up, not leave his feet, and force a miss. Such a big factor for this DePaul ball club. He and Nick, again, two of the best shot blockers in the country, let alone the Big East.
Ane with 8 blocks in his 4 games that he's played this year, entering tonight. Nelson gets fouled from behind by Primo Spears. That'll be his 3rd. Well, we saw a lot of scoring in the first half. Have not seen as much here in the second half, especially from DePaul. They've only scored 9 points in the first 9 minutes of the second half. They've actually been outscored by Brandon Murray to this point since halftime. Spears continues what's been a quiet night for him. Mozone Gibson had a big first half, scoring 18.
Those two guys, Gibson and Javen Johnson, you need them.
No-look pass to Ane, and Deshaun Nelson, a little mustard on that one for Ane to finish. First bucket for Ane since returning from injury. Didn't have any against Creighton on Christmas Day either. Bristol drives and rolls his way back to the basket to get that jumper across his body.
And I like his potential to help this Georgetown ball club. He's a proven scorer at the Division I level. He's got good size. He can give Primo Spears, Brandon Murray a break. Wayne Bristol, as a freshman, had 14 points at Notre Dame in their only big high major game there at Howard.
Bristol had not scored in his previous 5 games, but he's got 7 tonight. Georgetown back in front by 1. It's been nip and tuck most of the night. DePaul had a 10-point lead in the first 5 minutes. Other than that, it has been single digits and even under 5 for most of this game. As a foul is called with Wahab headed to the basket. Keep in mind, DePaul's got foul trouble with their big men. Errol Penn has 4, Ane has 3, and now Deshaun Nelson has 3.
It's a good read here by Primo Spears. They're switching 5 ways, so now he has the big man Ane on him, but he sees the advantage inside with Qudus Wahab. Good decision, good read there by Primo Spears.
So Wahab is at the line. Good free throw shooter normally, although he's 1 for 3 tonight.
And it's a luxury when you have a big guy such as Qudus Wahab that shoots 76% from the foul line, so you can keep him in late game when it's tight.
Wahab makes both free throws. Georgetown's lead is 3. It's about as big of a lead as they've had tonight. Didn't even have a lead at all until this half.
You see Bristol here in a complete face guard of Mozone Gibson. They're trying to deny him the basketball fully. He's playing on top of him.
La Jolla is trying to snap a 22-game conference losing streak. Deshaun Nelson looking to eat into the Hoyas' lead, and he does. Good moves inside and down low from Deshaun Nelson.
Deshaun Nelson showing the ability to create here the last 2 possessions.
Spears trying to create as well, but he missed. And Terry gets the rebound for the Blue Demons. DePaul trying to get back on top. Nelson looking to fly by Wahab, drew a foul.
And Nelson here, he has the ability, Wayne, to be an inside-outside big guy. You know, he transferred here from Kilgore College, junior college, but helped lead his team to Hutch, which is the National Junior College Tournament the last 2 years. He's got some talent on the offensive end. He's learning this level of basketball.
Bouncing off, Javen Johnson hits the fadeaway jumper, and DePaul's back in front. Johnson had a great first half. He'd been silent in the second half until just now.
Good balance. He has good balance on this shot. Nice rise. and lift.
Paul with the lead. Murray trying to force it inside. There's Gibson up ahead. Nelson with the one hand.
DePaul again turning defense into offense. They've adjusted now to trap Brandon Murray in the pick and roll.
Murray's got Javen Johnson draped on him. As a whirl got loose inside, but Gibson knocked it away. Well, you really have to know where Mo Gibson is at all times.
You see the trap of the ball screen there for Brandon Murray. The hit ahead to take shot. Nelson, who knows what to do with it on the finish. Get up, big fella.
Close game with 8 minutes left. We saw a lot of offense in the first half, but since halftime, the defenses have tightened up.
Yeah, and both teams have made adjustments. You see here, DePaul now trapping Brandon Murray, who's got 28 points tonight, and saying somebody else is going to have to beat us, and it's effective here on this possession, a big play. So now we'll look for the adjustments on the offensive end from Georgetown. What are they going to do to attack with Murray getting trapped? And then DePaul, Georgetown went to a complete face guard of Mozone Gibson, trying to take him out of the game. So you see both coaching staffs working, trying to get that first Big East win, Wayne.
Well, DePaul's done a great job with points off turnovers tonight, 21 of them. Georgetown's had only 4. The Hoyas have stuck around. They have not gone anywhere tonight. Georgetown is still shooting well above 50% for the night, 55 overall. Led by that man right there, Brandon Murray, who has 27. And Patrick Ewing has not seen his team beat a conference opponent since the 2021 Big East Tournament Championship game. An improbable run they had to the tournament title. Shot clock winding, and Murray got a shot off, but Javen Johnson was all over him to stop it. Now it's Penn with the dunk for DePaul.
You have to be back there if you're Primo Spears when Murray takes that shot. A transition defense, and that's where Georgetown to take the next step to be able to win some of these games.
Murray trying to stop an 8-0 run. The tip in from Ezeworo didn't go. The second try didn't either. And now Gibson on the run. Up ahead, Jalen Terry the layup. 10-0 run for the Blue Demons. Timeout Georgetown. And Tony Stubblefield almost hit the ceiling in this place after that layup from Jalen Terry.
Coach Stubbs at the walkthrough today, and his energy level was high. He knows how important tonight is for his ball club. And DePaul turning defense into offense. Good challenge there by Javen Johnson. And the patience and delivery from Jalen Terry for Penn on the break. And again, in transition, DePaul attacking. Nice job by Mozone Gibson engaging and then delivering to Jalen Terry for an easy 2 points. And that's been the story tonight. DePaul turning defense into offense. The first half, it was right off the turnovers. They pressed, they picked up the full court pressure, right, had the 9 turnovers and turned it into 9 points. This half, it's been a turnover here or there, but more the defensive stops leading to transition baskets.
A lot of action around the rim, too, for DePaul. Penn with that dunk. They put up some highlights tonight, that's for sure. Deshaun Nilsson, a couple of big dunks as well. Even Jalen Terry's got one.
And for Georgetown here, I like the idea of going inside the Qudus Wahab. With the game turning it up and down with DePaul playing in transition.
Spears has not gotten going at all. Bounce pass to Mozone, and that jumper rattles out. Wahab keeps it offensive rebound, although Jalen Terry tied him up, and a foul is called against Jalen Terry. How can Georgetown do a better job, Laval, of making sure Wahab does get some touches?
I was going to say, you see Wahab there saying, hey, I'll just go get it myself, fellas. But you love that in a big guy. He does throw a fit, doesn't get frustrated, just goes to get offensive rebounds. An important play there by Qudus Wahab, who's a good foul shooter again. But to be able to slow down this DePaul run. So I think finding him in the middle third, you know, Georgetown runs a lot of pick and roll action. The high-low feeds from the middle third of the court is something that they have to look for when they replace up to feed him the ball. He has to be a factor here in this last 6 minutes.
Well, Hobbs got 9 points, 11 rebounds. He already has 3 double-doubles this year. Had one against Syracuse recently. And that is going to be Georgetown's ball after a goaltend is called against the Hoyas. So the deep Blue Demons do get a couple of points there on the shot attempt from Gibson.
Here's see DePaul picking up the pressure again, full court. Just to eat some shot clock and just disrupt a bit the Georgetown flow.
12-2 run for DePaul. They've got a 7-point lead. Early a turnover right there. Shot clock at 5. Spears leaves Bristol to the basket. Good up and under move from Bristol after the feed from Primo Spears.
Love what Wayne Bristol's bringing to the table tonight. Georgetown might have found something here off the bench with his contribution.
That's 11 assists for Spears. That's a career high. Here's a 3. Nelson off the mark. Tip in did not go. And Mozone rebounds for Georgetown. Spears running the offense, not scoring much with the 11 assists. That bucket doesn't go. The tip doesn't go. Rebound still loose. Fighting for it on the ground. It goes all the way toward half court. Mozone forces it down low. Wahab to the basket. He draws some contact, but a travel is called. And Georgetown turns it over as Wahab gets called for traveling.
And this is where Spears, who has the ability to create, I don't love that possession from him. Recognizing now Urinay's back in the game because Coach Stubbs recognizes, hey, they have an advantage with Qudus Wahab. You want your point guard there. Spears continues to grow to recognize that advantage and be a little more patient on the offensive end, looking for his big fella.
Terry goes up with the basket. A high arcing shot from Jalen Terry.
And this is a different Jalen Terry. I had a couple of DePaul games earlier this season, Wayne. His confidence right now and his comfort level is much different than it was earlier in the year.
Terry's got 12 tonight. Georgetown's only made 1 basket in the last 5 minutes. There's only about 5 minutes left in this game. Mozone to the basket. He goes high off the glass and through.
Now your defensive communication comes into play, your offensive execution this last 5 minutes of the basketball game.
Shot clock at 8. Javen Johnson, hot in the first half, has been cold here in the second. And Wahab rebounds again for Georgetown. That's a dozen rebounds for the big man. Spears rolls around Wahab. Murray looking for an opening, couldn't find one. Mozone, that's a 3. Off the mark, Wahab flies for another rebound. He's been a rebounding machine
tonight. I was just thinking the same thing, Wayne. He is working tonight.
Spears with a spin move, tried to set up Wahab. Georgetown loses it, and there's Mo Gibson again.
And this has been the decision-making down the stretch from the Georgetown guards. Has been their nemesis. See if we can get that corrected, but it's set up here for a big finish down the stretch here, partner.
Ball up by 5, under 4 minutes to go. Join Fox Sports and nonprofit partner Good Sports in giving the gift of play this holiday season. Helps keep children in high-need communities across the country engaged in sports and play. Visit goodsports.org/Fox Sports to learn more. That's been a fun game. The Blue Demons have a 5-point lead over the Hoyas. And one of these teams will walk away with their first victory in conference play. First of how many, I guess, remains to be seen. But we've seen Georgetown really cool off in the last 5 minutes. And in terms of closing games and trying to finish stronger, well, that doesn't seem to be happening here for Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, and if you look at what was the keys to this game for each team, Georgetown making the adjustment in the second half. DePaul only has one three-point basket made, and they're dominating on the rebounding battle, 40-24 right now. And then DePaul making an adjustment to trap Brandon Murray. They were containing Primo Spears. He hasn't done much, but Murray was going crazy. But now adjusting to try to contain those guards.
Jalen Terry's had a good night, trying to lead a nay. But it was tipped away, and Georgetown creates a much-needed turnover.
And here's where Georgetown, they've been in these situations, been in some games. Their shot selection and decision-making down the stretch.
Mozone's a veteran, leaves it for Wahab. Wahab trying to back his way against Uriane, gets 2 points. Double-double for Qudus Wahab tonight. That's 11 points to go with his 14 rebounds.
And I like that decision there by the Georgetown staff, by their players. Go inside to the big fella. He must be a factor here.
His 4th double-double this year. Javen Johnson, free throw line jumper doesn't go. Rebound comes back to him.
Now, these are the moments, Wayne, where have they been in those situations where they've had to make the big shots? These groups that are new together.
Gibson long three. He hits another.
This kid's been there. He's been there at North Texas. He's been there at Oklahoma, and he's there tonight with the ball.
He has made 2 very deep threes, one right before halftime, and that one as well. He has 25. Spears hits the 15-footer. He's been quiet in terms of scoring. He's had a career-high 11 assists, but a big jumper falls for Primo Spears. It's only a 4-point game. Gibson to Johnson underneath. Rebound tipped out. Johnson tried to chase it down, but actually pulled up short, thinking it was going to be DePaul ball if it went out of bounds, but instead it belongs to Georgetown.
And that was the Qudus Wahab effect again, challenging at the rim, affecting Javen Johnson and making him miss the layup there. Now let's execute here and see if we can go back inside to the big fella.
Wahab's had a strong night, so is Spears. It's another jumper, it's another shot for Primo Spears down the stretch.
And he can do that, and he's done this now. The big shots, he loves that moment. Brandon Murray's kept him in this game. Qudus Wahab has kept him in it. Primo Spears, though, down the stretch is the guy that's not afraid to take and make the big ones.
Well, these aren't 2 beauties. These aren't 2 teams that are going to be making noise, you'd figure, for the NCAA tournament this year. These are 2 big conference schools that are trying to get their footing, and they're going after it tonight. We expected a game where we saw some desperation. 2 teams that really needed a victory tonight, and they're battling for it down the stretch.
No question. And when you look at the way Qudus Wahab is rebounding the basketball, his effort, Brandon Murray, now Spears stepping up. They know how important this matchup is. They know what's at stake. Neither team wants to start off 0-3.
We take a look around the Big East. Early on, Seton Hall's the only 0-3 team. Well, now Butler's there too after losing tonight. And UConn and Xavier at the top. Providence has had a good start to their year. Creighton, who was the favorite in the Big East to start the year, they've had a weird start to their season. Kalkbrenner finally came back on Christmas Day, so maybe Creighton will get rolling here. But the Big East, as it stands right now, DePaul and Georgetown trying to separate themselves from the bottom.
Yeah, and that middle tier is where they're trying to get to. They've been at the bottom for the last few years, aside from that Big East tournament run that Georgetown made. But to jump into that middle ground, look, UConn right now is head and shoulders above the rest of the league. Marquette has played extremely well in the non-conference, and that's been impressive with what Coach Smart's done. And then Creighton and Villanova. Providence is playing well right now. I think Ed Cooley's figuring his ball club out. It's the top half. After that, it's open to make a push. And in either one of these teams, with the offensive talent that they have, Wayne, could jump into that fray. And tonight could boost them into that group.
We'll see who can pull it out here in Chicago. 1:37 to go. DePaul's got a 2-point lead and the ball.
You see full denial, trying not to let Moshe Gibson get the basketball at all.
Spears holding down Gibson. Now Gibson with a drive inside, draws contact, ran right into Wahab. And Wahab called for a foul that he doesn't believe he should have been called for.
You see the ghost screen there. Erod Penn slipping out, ghosting out of the screen, and vacating the spot to open up the drive lane. Again, you see that action there. Open up in the driving lane for Umoja Gibson, who's the best free throw shooter. Good call, good set from Coach Stubblefield coming out of the timeout to get his best foul shooter to the line at 91%.
First free throw of the second half for DePaul. It goes down for Umoja Gibson. Gibson's had a strong night, 26 points.
Again, he's the adult in the room. When it got a little chaotic, he's the guy that calms everything down, makes all the guys sit up straight, and hit a huge three there to keep that DePaul lead. Now it's about their defense. They haven't necessarily stopped Georgetown tonight, so they have to buckle down here and get some stops when they need it.
Long jumpers. Spears has hit the last couple, but that one doesn't go. And a foul is called on the rebound attempt. That'll be 4 fouls on Yorane up against Wahab, who also has 4 fouls. So Georgetown will be at the free throw line here, and it will be the big boy Wahab after that foul on Ane.
I'll tell you what, for any bigs watching this game tonight, Qudus Wahab is giving you an example of how to go after it as a big guy. They're not feeding him necessarily, but he just said, forget it. And he's hitting the offensive glass like a monster. It's 6 offensive rebounds, which is a phenomenal number.
Strong performance from Wahab. Back in the fold with Patrick Ewing and Georgetown. I don't know why a big man would ever leave Georgetown. This is really not playing at all.
That makes sense. Grass isn't always greener.
Yeah, and in Wahab's case, a guy who played a lot anyway, who was getting big minutes and the tutelage of Patrick Ewing. And there's no real reason to leave that situation. It didn't work out at Maryland. And now Wahab back in D.C. as we see who knocked that last one out of bounds. Georgetown thought it should have stayed with them, and they'll take a look on the monitors to see who will have the ball after this one landed out of bounds.
Big call here by the officials in a 1-possession game of who gets this ball.
It's DePaul ball thanks to the call on the floor. It looked like Mozone going up against Erod Penn there knocked it out.
Like but Penn, did it touch Murray on the way by?
Couldn't tell if it touched anybody after the deflection. But again, the call on the floor was DePaul ball, so they'd have to see something to change that. Getting another look. Well, you see Mozone's got his finger on it, but there's Erod Penn's hand on it, and then it flies over Ane and Murray. So if
looks like Penn got it last, unless they hit Murray, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. It looked like initially that Mozone had his hand on it, but after that last replay, pretty clear that it was actually Erod Penn.
Again, and I know it takes some time when you're watching a game for the reviews, but in a 1-possession game like this, you really want the officials to get this one right. Georgetown can get this ball back with a chance to cut it to 1 point or tie. That's a big possession, so that they need to watch it and get this right.
Could look at this as a break for Brandon Murray as we take a look again from another angle and see if there's a clearer shot here on where this ball gets hit. It does look like it's Penn who knocked it out last. So it could be Georgetown ball here, but Murray could use the breather because he's only rested for 50 seconds tonight in this entire game, and he's been quiet in the back part of this second half. He hasn't scored the last 10 minutes. We talked about that fatigue, the lack of bench options for Georgetown. So Brandon Murray really could use this time to get a break in this game.
Sure, but it's...
This is our slam cam shot. You know, I don't know, make a decision already.
Wow, yeah, pretty close. I don't know if there's enough to overturn it.
I mean, we've seen as much as we can show you, and you know, the refs are just going to have to decide. It's a big moment.
Original call was off Georgetown, right?
Yes.
Don't know if there's enough to overturn it.
Brian O'Connell, Jeffrey Clark, Earl Watson are officials tonight, poring over the video.
Good crew.
Last time Georgetown won a game in the regular season against a Big East opponent 667 days ago. That was before they went on their run to win the Big East title. And after the replay review, it will be Georgetown ball. So the Hoyas are able to keep it on their end.
You appreciate them taking the time to get that call correct. Big possession here now. One possession game, a chance to cut it to one or tie for Georgetown.
Inbound to Murray, scoreless in the last 10.5 minutes, but he's had a career-high night. Wahab working on a double-double. Gives it back to Murray. Murray takes it inside. He's fouled. And Brandon Murray will head to the free throw line to try to pull Georgetown closer.
And watch what Qudus Wahab does here. He kicks it out, and then he seals and creates a driving line for Brandon Murray there to get to the basket. Again, if big guys are watching this game, there's a ton of ways other than just getting the ball. He's been on the offensive glass. Now he's sealing for his teammates to drive it. Qudus Wahab, love his effort and his competitiveness tonight.
A big miss from Brandon Murray on that free throw. He's not a great free throw shooter, 58% for the year.
And that's the one knock. He competes on the defensive end. He can score it at all three levels. He creates, but not a great foul shooter.
He only got one. It's a 2-point game, under a minute to go. Well, we promised a winner. Under a minute left. It will be determined here soon, and Umoja Gibson's fouled by Spears. So Gibson will go to the free throw line.
And those are just not, just you have to know defensively the decisions. Umoja Gibson's a 90% foul shooter. Don't bail him out and send him to the line. You want them to take a tough shot in a one-possession game here.
4 fouls for Spears. This is 1 and the bonus. Mentioned Gibson. He is outstanding at the free throw line. DePaul, as we mentioned earlier, 9th best in the country as a team, 79%. So they are very strong in these moments. And here's Umoja Gibson trying to extend the lead for DePaul. Could get it back to a 4-point lead if he makes both.
Gibson knows how to sell it to the ref. It's the veteran move, crafty play. Kind of puts on the brakes and gets himself run over, knowing the situation. Smart player.
Season high 27 points for Gibson tonight. He's hit 5 threes. There's the first free throw. He's 7 for 7 from the line.
This one's the big one. Make it a 2-possession game. A lot of time here for this game to still go either way.
Gibson makes them both. DePaul's lead is back to 4.
You need a quick 2 if you can get it to Georgetown.
Spears trying to set it up. Brandon Murray had it stripped from behind. Stolen by Javen Johnson. Georgetown has to foul.
You don't want to foul him. Try to get the trap, squeeze him.
They're trying not to, but time is winding down. Gibson just running away, and finally he's fouled.
Yeah, he's not going to give it up. That's a smart play. Well done by Umoja Gibson. He knows he's the guy that coach wants on the foul line, not giving the basketball up there. Georgetown trying to wait and trap and get him to pass it.
So Gibson will get at least 1 more, probably 2 at the free throw line to put DePaul up potentially by 6. First one is perfect. Gibson 9 for 9 at the free throw line tonight, working up a 91% free throw percentage for the year. He's got 30. His career high is 32.
If you're Georgetown here, you probably still have time to rush to the rim and get a layup. Nice coaching move there by Coach Stubblefield, subbing at the table so Georgetown can't inbound and go quickly.
Gibson has scored the last 9 points for DePaul, trying to help ice this game for the Blue Demons. Bristol, a big three. It rolls out. Wahab on the offensive rebound gets fouled. He'll be at the free throw line.
Big miss there by Bristol. That was the look you wanted to be able to cut it to a one-possession game. Good job there by Primo Spears getting downhill and creating wide open look there. Wayne doesn't get it.
Foul was on Eral Penn. That's 5. He's out. Looks like Georgetown may have called a timeout. Actually, there's a review happening. The officials over to take a look at the previous play. Maybe just to get a good sense of how much time should be on the game clock. Either way, about 10 seconds to go, and the Blue Demons more and more as time winds down here in control. As once again, we've seen Georgetown late in a game unable to really find a way to the finish line.
And Georgetown here. Curtis Wahab step into the line. We're going to make these 2 free throws and jump and deny Umoja Gibson as quickly as possible. Do not allow him to catch the basketball. You'd like to get it to go to your name if possible. Or Philmon Gabriel. Guys that haven't been to the foul line as much. To give yourself some sort of a chance. With DePaul getting the ball in safely is a big thing.
Wahab makes the first. Solid night for Wahab.
He's played tremendous. I mean, for Georgetown doesn't pull this thing out. He's given us a great effort.
16 rebounds, a career high. Missed that second free throw on purpose. Ane gets the rebound, finds Jalen Terry. And Terry's the one who will be at the free throw line. And starting to look more and more like our winner tonight will be the home team, the DePaul Blue Demons.
Yeah, and it's, you know, the thing that's continued to plague Georgetown, Wayne, is down the stretch in that last 4 minutes. A couple questionable decisions on the offensive end where they could have been a little bit more patient.
Jalen Terry has scored 10 here in the second half, 13 on the night. And the 3 Blue Demons in double figures. Gibson's got 31. Javen Johnson 21. And DePaul at the free throw line, 8 for 8 here in the second half. That's helped them put this game away. They lead by 7 in the final seconds. This is Jordan Riley for Georgetown. Riley with the jumper falls short. Conference win number 1 for the DePaul Blue Demons. They take care of Patrick Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas 83-76. Umoja Gibson scores 31, a season high, and it's the Blue Demons who outlast Georgetown here tonight in Chicago. Our final score, DePaul 83, Georgetown 76. We say good night from Chicago.